Hey folks, it's Yannick Gwizdala. It's the Yannick Gwizdala podcast. It's Monday, November 25th, 2024. Here it is, finally. After all the talk and all the mentions, all the hype, all the many discussions and WhatsApp messages and photographs and all the stuff that goes into helping to design an instrument and collaborate with a company is finally here. At least the first step of it is the new prototype for a 5-string collaboration I've been working on with RKM Basses down in Mexico for some time now, since I met them almost exactly a year ago at the Winter NAMM show. I picked this bass up, which you may well recognize if you follow the channel. And by the way, if you're only listening in the audio podcast land, today is probably one of those days you want to head over to YouTube to see all of this stuff on video. And you will no doubt recognize the 4-string that I've been playing, this blue one that's kind of relic and road worn a little bit. I loved the neck on this instrument when I sat down at NAMM and picked it up and played it. Like I've said many times before, explaining my process about, hey, what makes it a great instrument? How do I get kind of connected to an instrument? And that NAMM show, and the NAMM show in general, is like the worst place ever to try out a new instrument and try and get connected to it. And the fact that I did in that horrific environment really spoke to me. And then when I got it home, as you have heard over the past year, I've been using it so much in the creation of all the lesson videos, and I've been playing it on some recording sessions. It was something I just didn't have in my bass collection here, and something that ended up being really has become really important. That's how come we got talking about maybe doing a 5-string a little more in line with what I do as a solo artist, rather than the blue one here, which is more kind of a 4-string workhorse. It's like a studio bass. It has the ability to have that kind of P bass sound and the jazz bass sound because it has the double reverse P setup. So that started the conversation, and we're going to get into everything that this bass has become. This one I'm holding here, this 5-string, this RKM 5-string, which I have strung EADGC, kind of my tuning. Again, this is kind of what I envisaged coming from RKM, that was a little more in line with what I do as an artist. A different flavor from the Mattison, for instance, a different flavor obviously from the Foderas I used to play, just another sound. It's become so much more important to have a collection of the right sounds and sounds that speak to me. And obviously my Mattison I play all the time. It's on all my albums. I'm working with Anders on a different bass right now, which I'm super excited to see come to life next year for kind of something quite musically specific. So it's kind of a new chapter of my association with companies and how I want to do things and how things like this come to life. We're going to get into everything about the bass. I'm going to play it a bunch. I've got some loops to play too. I am almost certainly going to forget some technical element of the bass. So please get in the comments and let me know what I forgot when I inevitably do forget it. I'm doing all this, stream of consciousness just off the top of the head. There's no script here. Let me know what I forgot. Let me know what questions you have about the instrument, having heard it in a minute. And because it is November 25th, because we are racing towards the launch of the new book, The Bassist's Book of Scales and Arpeggios, we're also deep into our whole Black Friday thing this year for 2024. I must announce that it's the last days of the pre-sale. That bundle will no longer be available as of Wednesday. I've been saying the 26th, but I completely got my dates mixed up. And I thought Wednesday was the 26th. It's not. It's the 27th. The pre-sale goes through the midnight on the 27th out here in California in the US. So get in there. It's all linked below. It's the physical book. It's the digital book bundled in one product, and of course they're signed. The ramp up to this, I cannot wait to bring you the behind the scenes video of this pre-sale thing, and the boxes of padded mailers and the shipment of books that will arrive at my house. It's going to be totally insane. It's going to be like a pallet of books. We need to say it did really well, the pre-sale. I cannot thank you enough. But now it's almost like the real work begins. I spent a year writing the book, and now the real work begins with like signing all those copies, getting them packed up and shipped out to you guys. Cannot wait for that. Anyone who gets the pre-sale will of course get the digital copy when it launches officially on Thursday. Everyone's going to get that. And then the physical copy will ship. We get them from Amazon. We put in our order this week. We get them from Amazon. I sign them all and ship them out to you. So appreciate your patience with wherever you are in the world. It's going to be quicker for some people than others. So really appreciate your patience with that. And yeah, Black Friday sale is going on. All the digital books on the website, all the ebooks are buy one, get 50% off another, up to 4 books in your order. So you could get 4 books and then get 4 books 50% off. This discount also applies to bundles. So you could buy a bundle and then get discount on another bundle. And the new book, once it launches on Thursday, this is for all the fans who listen to the podcast, I am going to add it to the complete library package. If you're perhaps new to the channel, you're interested in checking some of these books out, you can buy the entire library in one go. And for that, I do give a massive discount. That will be on sale for Black Friday, and we'll have added the new book into that. What else? Yes, people have been asking me, hey, the shipping is so expensive overseas. I know, I'm really sorry. That's just is what it is. But, people have been asking, is there going to be just a digital version? Will it be available at Amazon where the shipping is less expensive? Yes, and yes. All of that is happening this week. Just get on the mailing list. That's linked below as well. I send out all the information on the mailing list, the newsletter. I update everyone as and when things are happening. I'm sure there'll be more updates through this week for Black Friday. We are going to do a Cyber Monday thing that will involve the HX Stomp presets. I know people have been asking like, hey, are you going to put those on sale? Because they're not on sale for Black Friday. Yes, we're going to do a Cyber Monday thing with the presets. Look out for that on, Monday next week, a week from today. Let's get to the instrument. Everything is linked below for all that other stuff, but let's get to this. Let's get to this beautiful bass. I just went down to Mexico, to RKM, to Monterrey to pick it up, and meet with the guys in person, talk to them, get into details. Obviously, this is a prototype. We are working on colors, like how we're going to do this, how we're going to release the bass. I can tell you that it's going to be very much a limited thing. Like you are going to be able to buy this bass, but I think we've landed on there only being 10 units available in our first drop, in our first run. And it'll be one color, it'll be one setup, it'll be this bass that I've had some input on helping design or collaborate on, shall we say. So it's not by any means a signature bass. Ever since going on the SBL podcast for the first time, I think they titled that episode, Why Yannick Gwizdala Will Never Play Another Signature Instrument Again. Something like that. I was in a very transitional period of my life with instruments and the relationship with Mattison and then getting an F bass and like all kinds of things, all like a bunch of circumstances that were surrounding what instrument I played and why I was motivated to play them. So that title kind of still holds true. I don't want to have like signature instruments, but I do want to work with people like RKM and with Mattison to help design some things, to collaborate on some things that, yes, may well go into production in very limited amounts, but never just an evergreen, always available thing with my name like completely linked to it. I'm not sure that's so attractive to the customer anyway. Because, I want to encourage you, if you go out and get this instrument, to be nothing like me at all. Yeah, if maybe we have some common interest and common kind of common things we want out of an instrument, then yes, maybe this bass will suit you and will be right for you, and that's fantastic. But I would hate for you to go out and get this instrument and be like, oh, I want to sound just like Yannick, or I want to do that exact same thing as Yannick. I think there's something that comes along with that signature instrument world that kind of says that about it. So I'm trying to get away from that, having that hanging over our heads when we work on things, and just being able to collaborate on small batches like this. And just put out good instruments into the world, and maybe a few unique things as well. That's always my goal, no matter what I'm doing, is to put something unique out there. And this has, yes, a little bit of my DNA in it, but it has this beautiful neck. I mean, it's insane. It's I love the profile on it. This is a profile I haven't really played that much on a 5-string before. And, you know, my Foderas were a different profile. My Mattison a different profile from this. So just from a feel standpoint, it's already quite a different instrument. I'm trying some very different things in terms of the electronics. These are Nordstrand pickups and a Trickfish preamp. Now, I don't know the names or the serial number, the model numbers or any of this stuff yet. It's really, really fresh. Literally had this bass maybe 48 hours. I went to Mexico for one night this weekend to pick it up, to meet with the guys, see the whole operation in person, and just, I think there's no substitute for, yeah, they could have shipped it to me. Yes, we could have done all of this remotely, but I think there's no substitute for being in the room and having the builders there and the owners of the company and just like giving that feedback and saying, oh, you know, I'm thinking this, I'm thinking that. And then you have the expertise of the person who built the instrument and knows it better than anyone, offering like, well, this is this and that is that. That in-person communication, I think, is fairly priceless. So really happy to be able to do that. And I haven't tuned it very well. I've been raising the action slightly. They did have it set up paper thin, like really low action, which if any... and the bloody camera's gone again. All right, that's just what you want on an episode of the podcast. Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to restart. No pause here, no bullshit. I hope I caught it in time and you haven't lost too many visuals on that. But yeah, the bass came up with really low action, which if you follow my channel, you know I'm not a fan of. So I've been raising it this morning. I've only had 20-30 minutes to really mess with it and get it in the ballpark. Have a little reverb on there from the HX Stomp. But it does sound beautiful and okay, so first of all, right there, the reason I kind of had a pause for thought, shall we say, is that there are certain things that I'm not used to about it yet, and that is that it is 24 frets. I guess I'm really used to playing the 28 frets on the Mattison, and previously to that, I was playing 26. So the 24 is a different thing for me. But I did get the 0 fret. That was one of my requests, that it had a 0 fret in it, and also that we did like the E to C thing for me, obviously. And it was just a balance thing that I was really curious about. Like, how can we get the things that I really liked about the 4-string that were the workhorse things? How can we get that into a 5-string, really balance it out and make it kind of sing for my solo playing? And here, let's do some, let's take off the reverb. Let's do some different sounds. So now we're on the front set of P-Bass. Really nice. Totally different sound. Let's have the blend of the two. So I'm still scuffing up a little bit in a couple of places higher up. It's also a 33-inch scale, which is a little bit bigger than my Mattison that I'm used to playing with when it comes to 5 strings with a high C. That's a 32. So we're here at 33 inches, which I kind of dig. My Foderas were always 33, and I do dig that feel and that sound. but the 33 combined with it being just 24 frets instead of 26 or 28, that's going to take a little bit of getting used to. Not long. I mean, already when I was down there in the workshop playing it, it felt like I could have gone out and played a gig that night, you know. So that's both pickups. We have, in terms of, we got a tone control, so that's all the tone all the way back. That's all the tone in. Just take a half point here. I am digging the Trickfish preamp in a big way. A lot of options in here. And it's one of the things I've talked about the 4-string that I played that I loved about it being kind of a utility workhorse bass, is that you get the option of the jazz sound and the P sound in one instrument without having to have two sets of different pickups, like the jazz pickups and the P pickups. Don't ask me how, don't ask me why. Maybe you don't hear it like that. Maybe that's just me and my experience of it. But the feel, and to me also the sound, is of having two basses in one. And that's something I haven't really had in a 5-string with a high C before. There we go. We made... And we're both pickups there. We go on the back pickups. And I would say, you know, when we get to my sound and how I feel about that, I would probably, right now, the way the preamp is set up, I would probably roll out most of the highs, be on the back pickups. The bass is kind of notched in the center, the mid is in the center, and I've got the tone all the way back. There. Let's see here, maybe a little high. Yeah. Yeah, something like that. And again, I'm experimenting. I've only had the bass a couple of days. I know that you can get inside and set up the preamp. There are a bunch of different options, frequency selections. There's a mid notch here, mid switch that you can select the frequencies for. There's obviously passive active as well, switch in the back here. So if I give you both pickups full volume in active mode. If I go to passive, and adjust the tone, and my string spacing does not set one up to play slap that efficiently. If you're used to a big kind of Fender or Yamaha or something like that with the wide string spacing, it'll take a little bit of getting used to. But obviously, you know, I don't think Henrik Linde has a particularly massive string spacing on his 6-string bass, and slaps obviously fantastically. So it doesn't have to be an option. It doesn't have to be an issue at all. I think, and with the maple neck as well, we should probably talk about some of the woods. I believe the wood in the body is mahogany. I believe the neck is maple. Does it have an alder heel block? I'm not sure. I will have to get the full specs on that. Probably should have had those open in some notes, but it is, again, a prototype. It has silver hardware. I think we're going to change it for black, for instance. It does have a drop tuner. I think, we're going like black hardware on the bridge as well. What have I told you already? It has the Trickfish. It has the Nordstrom pickups. I know there's something I'm forgetting about it. We haven't landed on the color yet. I sent like some color samples over, but this came out a little more gray than the blue I was intending for. But having said that, I quite like it. It wasn't the one I'd intended or envisioned particularly, but I do like the color. So we're trying to figure out maybe a little darker than this for our first run of 10 instruments. And maybe we'll be able to do another drop of 10 instruments 6 months or 12 months after the initial one. Let's see. Let's see how all of that goes. Let's see how into it you guys are. I'd love to get your feedback here in the comments. Like, what is this the kind of instrument you want to play? Of course, the price is going to make a massive difference. And what I don't want to do is say, oh, it's going to be $45,000 or it's going to be $30. I don't want to give you a price that's so incorrect that you go, oh wow, I can totally get that, and then it comes out and you're like, what the fuck was he talking about? This isn't that price. I can tell you that it's not going to be in the high single digits. It's also not going to be $1,500. You know, it's going to be somewhere in the middle, I think, and somewhere, I think, compared to other instruments out there, it's going to be in the more affordable bracket, I would have to say. And of course, affordable is completely unique to everyone. One person's affordable is another person's, unobtainable grail instrument. So I'm well aware of all the moving parts with that. It is not going to suit everyone, even from a playing standpoint. Never mind the price. That's why we're going to do a very limited run of them and see how it goes. The plan is to launch it at NAMM in January. Here in Anaheim at the Winter NAMM. And maybe I'll play it in the context of a track. I bounced down some loops just so I would have something to play against. Let's see, what do we got? Oh, that's fun. See, I'm purposely I'm not trying to stay in the groove or in a pocket there for, just for bass playing's sake. I'm actually experimenting here with you in real time, figuring out the range of the instrument, figuring out my, comfort level of where my left hand, my fretting hand sits out on the instrument with this 33-inch scale now. I have perhaps a more unique perspective on playing position. I don't think it's unique at all. Maybe it's unique only in the sense that not a lot of other people do it, but it's not really anything new. It's more of a classical guitar seated position. I know Hadrian does this sometimes, but he also stands and plays a lot when he plays live, I think. So I sit exclusively. I never stand and play. Sometimes I just get either bored or my back gets a little stiff, so I will stand up and move around for a song. And it's amazing. Like, band leaders will look around at me like, what is happening? They really think something's wrong. There was a Steve Smith day. I want to say it was in Phoenix, Arizona, maybe last year. And out of nowhere, I just fuck this. And I switched the position of the strap and dropped it down a little bit and stood up and walked over by the piano. Both Steve and Manuel looked at me like, whoa, what's going on here? And then Robert, our front of house guy, was freaking out because he thought something was really wrong. He's like, oh shit, what happened? What do I do? What do I need to do? So for me, all that to say, for me to stand up and play is quite rare. So my seating position has my the bass up on the same knee that's the same side as my fretting hand. For me, I'm right-handed, so that's left knee, left hand out there. And the 1 inch of scale makes a big difference. I know on a 34, a little bit bigger than this, it would be a bit more of a mission for me to hang out there so long. I'd need to redevelop those muscles because I've been playing shorter scale basses for a very long time now. I rarely play, at least for any length of time in one sitting, I rarely play like a P bass, like a 34-inch scale standard bass for a super long time in one go. So that's something that's super interesting. I'm getting used to the 33 again right here, and just working around the neck as I was there with that groove. Yeah, and of course there are other things when I'm playing in the low register of the instrument, when I'm playing down on the E string, where my anchor points are exactly for the thumb on the pickup. That's slightly different now. I'm used to hitting that pair of super doubles, the Aguilar super doubles that I have in the Matheson. Those are in very different positions now with this reverse P thing. So that's something I have to take into consideration. But it's not crazy. Like I said, as soon as I picked up the instrument, within 30 seconds, I was like a massive sigh of relief, first of all, because it's quite emotional, actually. Like, you get into this process and you start to really think about these things, and you put things in motion, or you are a part of things that are in motion, which take people's time, it takes people's money, it takes R&D, it takes development, it takes all of those things, and you finally get to the first iteration of it. And you, like, before I got there, I was like, shit, man, this could be terrible. And how do I say that to someone that I don't know that well? Of course I was not expecting, but hoping for the best, especially based on the instruments I played before. I knew it, actually, that's bullshit. I knew it wasn't going to be horrible, but I knew there was a possibility that it wouldn't be right. And there were all these things to balance, like we're talking about, let's try and launch it at NAMM. So there's kind of a timeline, although I guess we could have delayed it. But anyway, needless to say, there were all of these factors, and I sat down and played the instrument for 30 seconds. I was like, wow, what a relief. Everyone did their job. Like, everyone did it, like, way, past the call of duty, and way far beyond what they were tasked to do, in my opinion. And here we are with a prototype. And I have to stress that it is a prototype. It is going to change a little bit. It wasn't like 1,000,000% perfect. And we're going to shift the position of one of the pickups, for instance. Like, the hardware thing we're going to change. The color we haven't exactly landed on the color we want. Although, man, as I look in the monitor as I'm filming this, I like the bass. Who knows what the color grading is going to do to it? I have two different cameras with two different apertures, for instance, and one is going to look better than the other, or more importantly, they're going to look different from each other. So what you see is not like exactly to the last percentile what you're going to see in the room as you experience the instrument. But I do dig it. And then there's the other thing of, like, this is lacquered. This is like a solid finish, and I'm thinking of maybe doing a slightly darker gray blue, but in a matte finish. So there are a bunch of considerations still to go. That is why this is a prototype. This is not a sales pitch. This is not a sponsored video. This is a collaboration in the process that I'm really fortunate to be able to share with you. Let's get to some more music. Let's take a different groove. What's this one? Okay. Hang on, what have I got on there? Oh, I got a little retro reel modulation. I'll put my other in-ear in. Let's try that. Okay, interesting. I'm all the way on the front set there with the tone rolled all the way off. Maybe a little more tone. Where's the top of the form? It's that fill, right? There we go. As soon as I play one slap note, I'm like, why did you do that? You dumbass. Not my gig. That sounds kind of cool with a retro reel on it and kind of opened wide up with the tone and the front pickup. We get that kind of raspy back pickup job. Maybe a little more tone on that. I gotta relearn all my false harmonic positions as well. The struggle is real, my friends. Yes, the struggle will be real. That is. I got one more groove in here, which we'll get to in a second. I really am trying not to leave you shortchanged in terms of the information I impart about this bass, because I know, even though I think I've covered it all, there's going to be something. Please get in the comments of the YouTube video with your questions. I'd be amazed to see, like, I don't know. I mean, shit, there are so many things I'd be amazed to see. I mean, really, actually, now I think about it, what I would like to see is people's reaction in person, playing the instrument for the first time. So if you come by the RKM booth at NAMM, I'll be there a little bit. I don't think I'm going to be there for more than one day, maybe a day and a half, but the bass will be there. I think I'm going to bring the blue one, because I know a lot of people have written to me about wanting to try that. I know RKM have made a bunch of these blue ones because people have seen it on the channel and say, hey, I really like the way that bass sounds and looks and everything. Could you make me one? So I know they've made a bunch of the blue ones, the 4 strings. And then we will have the final, this is the prototype. So we will have the final production version ready for people to check out at NAMM. That'll be the one. It'll be like serial number 000, I guess, and then we'll do 1 through 10 as our little limited run to kick off this thing, this relationship that we've been working on for a year. It's amazing. It's like really exciting also to have a different flavor on the rack back here with all my other instruments. If you've followed the channel for a while, you know that I've gotten rid of a bunch of basses over the last couple of years, and it was kind of because I knew there were a couple of things like this on the horizon, and I sort of hinted at them, and you're like, hey, I'm making more room because there are things changing, blah, blah, blah. Well, this is the thing, one of the things that are changing, that is changing. And there are other collaborations and other things coming in the not too distant future, which will mean, hey, man, I actually need the space. Seriously, I need the space. So great to have a more dialed in set of sounds to choose from. Don't get me wrong. It is not lost on me how much of a luxury that is, and how special it is, how lucky I am to be in this position to have, I've worked my ass off for 30 years. But I'd never ever expect, I wasn't doing that just to get free shit, or to have lots of fancy instruments, though this is very much a bonus, and it's a very appreciated byproduct of doing all the work and gaining some experience and actually having something to give. I think that's probably the most rewarding thing about it, is having something to contribute, saying like, oh, I think maybe we could do this or that. I don't know anything about woods, for instance. Like, I'm not going to say, oh, well, you should do this wood for the heel block and blah, blah. No, not at all. But in terms of the design and the usability and the sound, I'm able to get in the room and have the conversation now and add something to that conversation, add something to the process that I really hope comes out the other end in the form of giving you, the end user, something that you can really, get stuck into and something that you can fall in love with, and maybe something like this becomes your main instrument. It's like, you never know. Like, I had no idea that this blue bass, for instance, I was going to play it at NAMM. I'd never heard of RKM. I'd never even dreamed that I was going to sit down on a booth and then 3 days later own the bass and then spend a year making videos with it because I dug it so much. So you kind of never know. And this whole thing has taught me to have a very open mind about all layers of the process, all levels of the journey. And here we are getting to see, man, we're going to get to see, you are going to get to see and hear way more of it. I'll try and get it plugged into the pedals, show you how they react to it. And once I get a masterclass from my friend Justin on their Trickfish preamp, I'll have more to say on that as well. Maybe we'll do a whole episode on the Trickfish preamp. That was something that really kind of blew me away between the Nordstrom pickups and the preamp. That was something I hadn't experienced before. A very different thing under the fingers, which I dug right away. Something I'm going to be looking at, down the line for other builds, for other collaborations. It's just nice to have exposure to some other stuff that I was just, I trusted people, I trusted people around me that know what they're talking about. And when I was searching for something, they said, well, maybe you'll dig this. And boy, were they right. So hopefully once I have more experience with it, I can give you a better idea of exactly what it's doing for me and for this instrument. Let's play with this last loop just for a bit of a different flavor. Woo. That's something I want to work on a little bit. That's something that I really have to get into today and a little bit tomorrow, just the rest of the week, really, about seeing how quickly my stuff, my lines, my vocabulary, my language translates into this instrument, and what is kind of the same, what is more difficult and challenging, what is easier. Okay. Yeah, so far not bad at all, in terms of it all translating and being in the place I expect it and I feel it should be on the instrument. Okay, that's the initial look. Of course, there's going to be more with this. Have I really shown you the bass that much? Let me take the strap off. Let me mute it. I can really give you some, for those of you who stuck around late in the video. Yeah, there it is. It's so clean, like the finish. That's why I've never had that like lacquered finish thing before. Hey, maybe this is the time to start. I don't know. Get in the comments, matte or gloss. What do you reckon? Matte or varnish? Whatever this is, whatever this finish is, like how Fender basses, a lot of them are finished this way. Let me know your thoughts. If you leave a sushi emoji in the comments, that guarantees a reply. Let's just say that for all of you that stuck around this long. That's it. This neck is beautiful. It's I'm killing everything on the desk here. It is maple. See the headstock, 4 on the top, 1 on the bottom. Like I said, we're going to do black hardware. So it'll be black hardware on the bridge, on the tuners. And and have I shown you the back? It's like bolt-on, obviously. Has a little air tag compartment here. So, trying to keep track of your shit, basically, in case it gets delayed on a flight or something, or God forbid gets stolen. That's it. Beautiful instrument. Really excited to share it with you. Definitely more soon. Don't forget sushi emoji in the comments, and that guarantees an answer to your question. And yeah, the Black Friday sale is happening this week. It's the last chance to get the bundle of the signed physical copy and the digital copy bundled together of the new book, The Bassist's Book of Scales and Arpeggios. It's all linked below. That closes Wednesday night at midnight here. And then everyone who's ordered that pre-sale gets the digital copy Thursday morning. I'll be sending out a big email for everyone who ordered that. And then we're putting our order in this week for all the books from the pre-sale, for the physical books. I'll sign them all, and as soon as they arrive in a week's time, and ship them all out to you all over the world. All right, that's it. That's a lot of information. Really appreciate you spending some of your insanely precious time with me checking out a new instrument. That doesn't really happen that often, so it's always exciting when it does. And I'll be sure to bring you some more updates as and when they happen, as and when we make them to the instrument. And we'll be showing the final production model really not that far out, in January 2025 at the Winter NAMM show here in Southern California. All right, that's it. Catch you all soon.